Welcome back to another episode of Bear Down Abroad. I'm looking forward to this one. This is one of our favourite ones. This is when we get some of the fans from all around the place that we can find and we can get them involved and having chats about the Chicago Bears. Oh, it's going to be fun. I don't know what it's like. Anyone, if you're watching in America, seeing the Tartan Army, Tony's Tartan Army. I think Tony's recovering even though he's in Glasgow. So Tony's going to be in the chat, but he won't be joining us. So he's still celebrating the Tartan Army flying around America. Anyway, this is what it's going to be. We got Noel, we got Smokes, we got Lee, we got me. Tony, hit the thing. Welcome back. So I'm taking Tony's part. Welcome back to another episode of Bear Down Abroad with my friends from all over the planet. We got Smokes in Florida. We got Noel in Dublin. Lee, I actually forgot to ask you, where are you based, my man? Lee, you can hear me? No, I can't seem to get you. We got Lee here anyway, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to welcome everybody around. No. You're one of my mates, so I went to Chicago with a few. Oh, Lee, there you are. Where are you based, Lee? No, silence. No, start with you. What's life like going for you, my friend?
Not bad, not bad. Been away from the old bear stuff for a little bit, so it's nice to jump back on it. Feels like old times seeing yourself and Tony in there, so it's a good off season. Things are exciting this year, given the way last season went, and hopefully the way they go next season. So yeah, good to talk some Bears.
Love it, Smokes. I'm gonna call you Smokes just purely because I actually one of my favorite names I see everywhere when it pops up on my algorithm that comes in. How are you doing? What's your are you like me in this lovely relaxed mode, knowing that the Chicago Bears finally has an offense?
I am ecstatic. I don't have that worry anymore on if my quarterback's going to get his receiver or the receiver is going to be where he needs to be. I have a head coach that I'm super confident in. I couldn't be more ecstatic on what this season is going to bring for us this year.
And Lee, before we go any further, you can hear me, can you? We gotta look up with Tony to see what's going on with that. No, from your perspective, I'm gonna throw it to you. What was your favorite moment from last season? What was the moment that was there that stood out to you as being the most important, happiest moment you've seen from last season? You're on mute, my man.
Apologies for that.
Old habits die hard.
In the season when you win the NFC North and you beat Green Bay, there's a few moments to pick, but I think there's a Caleb Williams throw to Cole Kmet to win a game with God knows how many yards he went backwards before he turned and made that throw.
You're back on mute now.
No, do you know what? Apologies, you know what's happening.
Well, Noel is flying through that. Smokes, for me, looking back at that Kmet throw, I think the thing that I loved about it the most was around everything that was being put into it. But I've said it all summer. The only thing annoys me about that touchdown was that Coastal Loveland got injured, got concussed around two plays before that. And I'm convinced had that Coastal Loveland been playing, we'd have gone for it and gone for the 2-pointer to win the game. Probably would have gone through to play Seattle. But looking back at it, is there any other moment that stands out to you? Or is there any couple of moments that stands out to you from last season?
First of all, I didn't even know Coastal Loveland had gotten concussed at the end of that game until you just said it now. Had no idea. Didn't hear a word lick about it. Obviously, it has to go back to the 2 wins against Green Bay, right? FGB, baby. I don't care what we say. I don't care what they say. It's always an exciting game, especially that wild card game. The wild card game was a little special to me, not only because of the win, but I celebrated it with my dad. And as soon as the incompletion happened, the end of the game, I picked his ass up, ran him all the way around the bar yelling, "We won, we won, we won." I would say that's my favorite memory.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for me. I have my little son. It was 4 o'clock in the morning here in Sweden, and literally the Green Bay one, the first one, when Jadeer Walker in the end zone. My little 3-year-old was out cold asleep, and I just remember I held it in for the whole game. I just couldn't for the Jadeer Walker. I had Theo up in the air, throwing him 6 foot in the air. I didn't know what was going on. I think I scared the man to death, but it was just an epic feeling. And to go and then beat them again in the playoffs is just sensational. Lee, can you finally hear me? I seem to be on a lost board with Lee, so I don't know what it is. I'm gonna let Tony try and work the magic in the background. This happened to us with StreamYard once before. No, let's see if I can get back in connecting with you because I know the world is flying around me. Where were you? And can you remember the Jadeer Walker touchdown? What was that? What was that? Because I think that was the moment when Bears fans sat back and went, "Jesus, we actually have something against Green Bay here."
Yeah, no, I remembered exactly because I couldn't share because my son who's 1 now, but who was considerably less than 1 at the time, was in the room above me. So I had to do that kind of cheer without being loud kind of thing. But yeah, what an amazing feeling. I mean, to beat Green Bay anytime is special. And in the season that we had it, with Ben Johnson there and Caleb Williams finally looking like he's maybe clicking with Ben Johnson and hitting his stride, and to just feel like, you don't want to go too far ahead of yourself, but maybe there's a tide turning a little bit in this battle that we've had with Green Bay that they've been on top on for a while. So yeah, what can you say? Anytime you beat Green Bay, as Smoke said, is amazing. But in this season, it just felt really, really good.
Yeah, I also think it's something insane as well. I look back at that other game and I just feel the second game for me was something special, like the 21-3 at halftime. It just looked like the absolute nightmare of nightmares. And Smokes will bring you in because I'm going to get Noel to ask a question to Lee because for some reason he can't hear me, but I think he can hear Noel. I think the thing that I found with the Green Bay game, the second one, was it was just an epic kind of, just everyone talks about the fall apart with the Packers fans, but you were Smokes was going with the FGB. How many times have you watched the video on YouTube of all their fans having a meltdown at us getting back and winning that game?
We talking about that last game?
Yeah, the
Oh
one against
man,
the
man,
Packers.
all the reaction videos. I waited about 2 days to look on YouTube for reaction videos. That way, Bears Twitter, Bears Media can get all those compilations together. Because what I've been doing at the end of every game too is I've been listening to the opponent radios after all of our wins. And so they have the Green Bay radio on YouTube. So I was watching the fourth quarter of that game in radio, and you could hear the defeat in their voice. You can see all the reaction from the compilations of them reacting to the games. And I know people say we're obsessed with it, but it's always fun to watch your rival go down against us. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to speak. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to ask you a question to ask to Lee because he can't hear me.
I can now.
You can hear me now.
There we go.
I can hear
Let's
you.
go.
I can
Let's
hear your
go.
dulcet court tones.
I think it was because I opened my can. That's what I think it was. Lee,
Probably.
what was the memory of the Green Bay game for you from last year? Was there one moment that stood out across all of the 2 games? What was the one kind of memory that you have from beating Green Bay last year?
Probably going for the 2 points. When they missed their extra point, and then we went for the 2 under Eberflus, we would have never done that.
Yeah.
Actually, we've probably never got back into that position, but to actually have the balls to actually go for it, and that, I think that turned the game where we thought, hang on, we could still win this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think you bring up a really interesting point, and it's one that's been said a lot. And I'll throw it out to all of you. So I'll start Smokes at the top. Who's more important for Chicago Bears at the moment, Ben Johnson or Caleb Williams?
I feel like Ben Johnson, in all honesty, because I think he can make whoever is behind that line work. If it be Tyson if Caleb goes down, if it be Case if Tyson and Caleb go down, God forbid, I think Ben would have a plan for each of his quarterbacks to go in there and win the games if he need be.
No.
Yeah, that is a tough one, but I think I've got to agree with Smokes. I mean, you look at what Caleb Williams done last year, and in crunch time in games, he stepped up, he made big plays, and he won games, and that's what you want from your quarterback. But I think Ben Johnson is one of those special head coaches. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 of them in the league where, if there was a draft, you'd take them ahead of most players because they're coaches that scheme players. They scheme players open. They absolutely dissect opponents, whether it's a defensive coach or an offensive coach, although more often the offensive coach. But yeah, I just think Ben Johnson is a special head coach. I think they are so lucky to have gone in and done what they done and got him. I think it's going to pay dividends for many, many years to come. And yeah, I think no matter who's at quarterback, if you have Ben Johnson there running that offense, I think you're going to put a lot of teams in trouble.
And Lee, I'll leave the last one to you before I say my piece.
It's got to be Ben. The last good coach we had was Lovey, and he created a culture, and Ben's done exactly the same thing. Where Nagy and Flus,
Don't mention
just
don't
idiots.
mention the other guy's name. Don't mention the other Matt.
Sorry, mate. But I think you get the culture right. It's like any team sport. You get the culture right, you get the locker room right, you get results.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we looked at teams in the past, and I never felt comfortable and confident playing teams. Last year was the first time I remember in a long time going back to Lovey. Even still going back to Lovey, there was sometimes you wonder about it. I never felt that we weren't in the game in every one of the games. When you have an offensive head coach who is so sadistically minded and so like. It's insane to watch, and I'm so happy. We like previously when our left tackle goes down for the season, and you're left with someone at the ilk of Braxton Jones, you'd be like, oh God, that's our season gone. But now I'm going, he'll find a way. He'll get another tight end in there. He'll get another guy in. He'll be able to work his magic with Braxton. He just has an ability to do that. Anyway, what we're going to start doing before we go. Actually, Lee, I don't think I asked you this question. What was your favorite moment of last year?
Beating Green Bay twice.
Oh, yeah. Just what Ben does what he said he was going to do. That's the best way to put it. He said he was going to beat Matt LaFleur twice. He beat Matt LaFleur twice. I don't know why they're complaining up in Cheeseland. Brilliant. For me, I've had so many little memories and so many little great moments. The flea flicker against Dallas. You had the Colson Loveland touchdown over the middle. You had the umpteen interceptions. It just kept on getting better and better and better. And then I can't even remember the kicker, Moody, I think it was, the kicker against Washington, and all these different things. It's been epic being a Bears fan this year. And my poor girlfriend upstairs had to listen to me because I'll be screaming at 2:00 in the morning. But isn't that the best way for it? Right, before we move into the season itself, let's move into the off-season and what the expectations were. And I'm going to ask you for one good thing that happened. So whether it was a free agency signing or whether it was a draft pick that you really liked, and one that you were like, God, I wish they had made. And it doesn't have to be a player, but everyone's going to say AJ, except that. But let's see what you all think. I'm going to go the other way this time. So, Lee, we'll start with you. So, what was the best move you think the Bears made in the off season, and what's the one what you wish they would have made?
I think the draft couldn't have gone much better. Getting the 25, and you probably take one of the best defensive safeties in the draft, and he didn't have to waste any capital on it. You had to replace that. I mean, I know a lot of people said, "Oh, we've lost so many defensive backs." To be honest, what contracts did they get? Not one of them got a big money contract. Nation Wright was great as his interceptions, but he was a crap cover corner.
Yep.
Brisker, concussions. This guy's going to come in, and Kobe Bryant. I think that's going to be them two together. It's just going to create havoc for quarterbacks trying to pass against us. The one I would like. Before the draft, I wanted Jacobs to be drafted. Looking at it now, I'm glad we didn't. He's got some problems, but I trust Pulse.
Yep.
I know that might rub Tony up the wrong way, but I trust him.
Yeah, Tony won't. That's why I haven't Tony on this show, because we knew we were going to mention that part. No, what was your big move, and what was? It doesn't even have to be a player. It can be a position, or it can be I don't know. It can be anything. What's your one good, one meh move?
Yeah, no, mine is actually position group. Look, we look at what they did last season with the offensive line. They went out in one off season and they completely revamped it, and we saw the benefits this year. And Lee kind of touched on it there, but it's completely changing that safety room. Look, we had two good safeties in there. We know how well they could how well they could play and what they gave to us. But you look at the guys they brought in there now. We look at the Dennis Allen defense. They're all about speed. We look at the two guys, Kobe Bryant and Tielemans, they brought in there. I think they have taken a really good safety room and they've made it so much better. And I think because there are some question marks over the cornerbacks, I think it's so important to get those safeties back there. And the kind of negative for me is, I know people went on about it and it's kind of the obvious. I do wish they had got a big time defensive end. I don't know who. I don't know. Like, in a way, I'm glad they didn't waste that money on just anyone. But I still feel we're going to have issues potentially up front. It's going to be interesting to see if they can bring these guys back from injury and kind of get them going. But I would have just liked a guy up there with Montez Sweat to be that kind of bell cow. But again, as I say, we have those two safeties back there now, and they're going to be so important because there are questions at cornerback, and it is going to be interesting to see if we can get that pressure on the quarterback. So those two safeties back there could turn out to be a really, really big, important investment to get that room upgraded and get that speed in there.
Smokes, what do you think?
I think I'm just going to have to piggyback off of Lee and Noel here. The safety room, how fast they acknowledged it. With Brisker and Byard on their way out. They picked up Kobe Bryant, their first free agent signing, as soon as free agency dropped. Then they turned around and somehow got Dylan Thieneman at 25 when everybody thought he was going to go to the Vikings. So I think the acknowledgement and how quickly they answered the safety position is my favorite part of the offseason. Also piggybacking off those two, I wish there was more done up front because of the issues we had last year getting to the quarterback. But right now, all we're hoping is for Montez to pick up where he left off last year with his 10 sacks. We're hoping Austin Booker picks up where he started off on towards the end of his season. What he ended up with, like 5.5 sacks to end his season last year. Hoping for a healthy Grady Jarrett. Hoping for a healthy Deo. He's, for some reason, how he was in a shell and running with the team drills with an Achilles tear this early. That was shocking to me. I was very happy to see that. Corners, Muhammad is, I don't know. I'm not going to label it as a concern yet because he didn't do OTAs. He was kind of off to the sides, I believe, from the reports. So we'll have to see come training camp. But he's a very possible option to probably give Gordon a run for his money for a spot if Gordon can't get healthy. And that's the unfortunate part this year, too, is Gordon unhealthy again.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was going to say. I think I'm on record. Noel have heard me say this a lot. I have so much respect for Kyler Gordon. I think Kyler Gordon could be whatever he wants to be. I think he's a really, really good player, and we look so much better. And I think the anger coming from Ben Johnson directed towards Kyler, I think, is because he knows how good he is and how much they need him to be that way. But I don't think he's at the Chicago Bears next year because he just can't stay healthy. And you can't have a player like that. And the Bears have shown it with Kyler Brisker, or with Brisker. Played all the games last year, but there wasn't a way he was getting a new contract because of the concussion issues. And I think that's the sad part. I think you can see the same potentially going with someone like TJ Edwards and a couple of those guys. But the positives for me are you all mentioned about Tieneman. I think Tieneman is just, he's going to be something else. I really, really rate him. I think how he went to 25 shocks me. And then to have him back there with Bryant and to have the backfield running, I think like people have forgotten about Devon Bush. I mean, he's going to be a fast, speedy linebacker for us, and he's going to create a lot of real opportunities that way. So yeah, look, I'm ecstatic. Before we go any further, I don't know if everyone saw on our Twitter feed the other day, we're teaming up with a new brand and we're connected in together. So the BearDown Abroad podcast is absolutely delighted to team up with Rob and everybody from Tally Brand Co. Please check them out. If we can get their little link on the screen, we will. It'll definitely be in the belows. They do the most amazing Bears merchandise. The FGB stuff is cool. And we're delighted to say that he's been very, very generous to everybody in the BearDown Abroad podcast, and anyone connected into our show, that if you type in, hey, it's like it's like we organised it, Tony. If you put in the discount code abroad, then you get free shipping and free stickers sent straight to you. So whether you're in Florida, whether you're in the UK, whether you're anywhere else around America, if you're members of the Tartan Army flying around everywhere, then literally get yourself some Bears gear so that we can get ready for our Super Bowl win. So again, thanks for the teaming up, the partnership. Rob, you're an absolute superstar. And we can't wait to get ready to Bears time. So thanks again. Appreciate it. So I've done my bit. I'm delighted. Rob is even in the chat. Love it. I'm going to move on to what we're looking for this season. So let's have a quick revisit and look at the NFC North, which is the hardest division in football. But let's look at it just from Bears' eyes. And what is it you think we need to do to retain the NFC North? Is it something that, first of all, I'll start with this. Is it something that you think we're definitely going to do? Are we the favourites to win the NFC North? If so, why should we be? So Noel, I'll come to you first. Can you hear me? No.
No, it's gone in now. Sorry. No. Can you hear me there now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Welcome back.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no, look, I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it is legitimately one of the toughest divisions in football. Look, we done Green Bay last year. That felt so good, but they're always a team that hang around. They have some good players in there. I think the Lions, again, have a really, really good roster there who can cause problems. I think they probably miss Ben Johnson a bit, so I wonder if they're going to be able to take a year to kind of overcome that. And then the Vikings are going to be a strange one. I mean, we know what O'Connell can do with quarterbacks, and they've gone out and they've got themselves Kyler Murray. I mean, when you look at last season's standings, I think the Vikings were literally one win away from winning it, and that was kind of that close for most of the teams. So do I think we're favourites? Yeah, why not? We're the NFC champions at the moment. We have Ben Johnson. We have an offense that I think looks really good so far. We're not near the season yet, but still, I mean, there's a lot of potential, a lot of young players there. Question marks on the defense, but I think we're the kind of team that if we give up 25, 30, we'll score 35. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that. But I think it's going to be a tight one. I think there are still some, all good teams in this NFC North. I think they're gonna push each other. But I think we're going to benefit as fans because we're going to see each team at the top of their game. And I think the Bears will come out on top.
Smokes, what do you think?
I think I'm right on top of it, Noel. I think the Bears will I know the Bears will come out on top. Let's put it that way. But I'm also not going to sit back and not act like the entire NFC North wasn't injured. I don't know so much about the Vikings being injured because their fans don't exist, so I don't know anything about their news outlets.
Yes.
But between the Lions, Bears, and Packers, we all had long injury lists the entire season. So if the entire NFC North does get healthy, it's going to be a really good battle to keep that top spot in the NFC North. Because like you said, the Green Bay Packers, you don't know who will show up. We don't know if we're going to beat them like we did last year. We don't know if they're going to keep punching us in the eyes like they did years before. It's going to be a good back and forth, but that's why we got Ben Johnson now to bully Matt LaFleur. That's how it works, right?
Exactly. We might as well chalk the 2 wins down already in my eyes. Lee, what do you think?
Super Bowl. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can definitely hear that one. Super Bowl for sure.
It is the toughest division in football. Parsons is out probably longer than they anticipated. They've tied so much money up into that. The Vikings, Murray doesn't bother me at all. The interesting bit's going to be how Gibbs gets on without Montgomery resting him.
Yep.
I think Gibbs is a fantastic player, but when it gets to November, December, and you've got our defence and the Vikings defence pounding him all the time, how's he going to react?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a very, very good point. I also think
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think for me, every team has challenges, but I think the only team that's absolutely guaranteed on the upward trajectory is the Chicago Bears for me. I really think the Packers might be in trouble this year. Lee, you made another great point around Parsons when he's back. They started saying it was going to be week 4 or 5. Now I read somewhere during the week it might even be halfway through the season in November, December time. So like they don't know, and that's a tough injury for an edge player. And I don't want anyone injury. And they've got, and Smokes, you made a great point about their injuries. Like they had tough ones. They had their left tackle went down. They had their centre went down, 2 centres I think. They had Kraft, who's a really really good tight end, but they've also given Matt LaFleur a new deal, and there's pressure coming onto him. Packers fans are starting to turn on their own players. I will say this: I rate Jordan Love more than a lot of Bears fans. I really do, but I don't think he's in the caliber of Caleb Williams. And I think for me that might be a problem for the Packers. I think they may end up finishing bottom. I think the ones that the Lions, I don't know. I've never been a Jared Goff fan. I just haven't. And I just think that they even though they've got the easiest schedule, I think they may fall a little bit short. The one that worries me a little bit is Vikings, and not because of Kyler Murray. I agree with you. Kyler Murray's an okay quarterback, but had they had an okay quarterback last year, they probably come second in the division and maybe even really challenged us, because they only were a game and a bit back. They still have that annoying defensive coordinator in Flores, who's just a genius of a defensive coordinator. And I think that worries me. The Vikings will be the one that will run me out of all. But we got the best quarterback in my eyes, got the best head coach in my eyes, we got the best receiving core in my eyes, got the best offense in my eyes, and we've got a really fast, quick defense now. And I'm just, yeah, I think we go on and win the division. I think maybe 11 wins win us, but we will see. I'll ask all three now. You might give me the obvious answer, but try and think outside the box a little bit. Who's your favorite Chicago Bears player right now? Smokes, I'll start with you.
That's a loaded question now. Why you gotta make me think?
I got a Tony then. Well, you're thinking, so that he can give you a chance to think. So the question.
No, I would have to say it would be Luther Burden. I think Luther Burden is my favorite Bear right now. It's he as soon as he started clicking with the playbook, as soon as he started getting his little nitpicks on the field narrowed down and anchored in, he started popping off. He started catching everything thrown his way. He started running the routes the way he was supposed to. He didn't look like a rookie playing wide receiver out there. And he really only got his true start. Correct me if I'm wrong. Week 6, he really started showing more on the field and getting valuable reps over Olamide. Right now he's my favorite overall.
No.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously you have a couple of the big names, but I'll steer clear of them. But I mean, for me, it's Kyle Monangai. I think really impressed with him last year when he came in. I remember, looking into the draft stuff when he was drafted and going through his tape and really being excited by the player, the Bears had gotten 7th round, I think it was. Again, he's playing second fiddle to Swift, who had a good season, but he still ends up with, I think it's nearly 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I mean, that's a player I think over the next year or two will continue to be on that upward curve. And who knows, maybe this season you could find him the number 1 running back or more of a share with Swift than being that number 2. But I just think he's such an exciting young player that's kind of come from nowhere. And I think he's going to go on to be a really, really good player for the next 3 or 4 years. And for me, I think he's someone I'm excited to watch. So if we go away from the obvious kind of big name players, definitely Monangai is what I'm looking out for.
Lee?
Well, Noel took mine, but I'll tell you who's going to be a sleeper this year. That's Austin Booker. He's going to get 12 plus sacks this year. I think give him a full season. I mean, I think one of the under the radar signings was Gallimore in free agency. Yeah. I think get him fit, you get Jarrett fit, and whoever else in the middle. I mean, Dexter, he gets a lot of shit, but 6 sacks from a DT. He's still piling up the stats. But I reckon Booker's going to break loose this year.
How many? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think.
Asking this question.
I'll tell you what I think first. I think that the placement of me on the screen underneath the Taliban logo, wearing my new Taliban hat, is pretty awesome, I must admit. But in terms of your question, I'd probably have to be the most obvious person in the room. and say that Caleb Williams is the best player on the team. He's the most important player in the team. Everything revolves around Caleb Williams. And if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, we would not be where we are today. Someone mentioned earlier on Ben Johnson, right? Ben Johnson has had a huge role in scheming everything out, absolutely. But without Caleb Williams there delivering on the field, it doesn't happen. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna. I was hoping you were going to say that. No, I was hoping you were going to say that. Right. Then what happened last year? Okay, I'll start with this. Caleb Williams is the best player in the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is going to be absolute. We're going to win Super Bowls with this kid. Absolutely, this is no slate on Caleb at all. But when you have a shit coach, no matter what the quarterback does, if there's nobody there and it's not Matt, it's shite Matt. If you have a coach that is not up to standard, it doesn't matter what the players are.
We can understand that because he got production out of Goff, and Goff is bullshit.
Well, it's Goff. I don't think Goff's a bad quarterback, right? I think you've got to be able to play to your quarterback strengths, right? A good coach always adjusts his system to the quarterback that he's got to make it work. And Ben Johnson absolutely does that. There's no doubt about that. He's accentuated the positives when it comes to Caleb Williams, and he's hidden then the things that are needing a wee bit of work for definite. But what I would say is, though, I don't think he could probably do it with just about any quarterback. I mean, could you imagine Ben Johnson trying to do this with Justin Fields? God, we'd just be in the same situation as we were before. The point I'm trying to make here is Caleb Williams' ability, his potential, and all that kind of stuff is miles ahead. And I think we, as a franchise, as a support, we now have a quarterback who could potentially be elite. And we've not had that before. And so for me, the whole world of Chicago Bears revolves around Caleb Williams. And Ben Johnson was part of that. Ben Johnson was brought in to complement Caleb Williams, just as Roma Dunze was brought in to complement him, and Luther Burden, and guys on the offensive line and the tight ends. This is it. He is the center of the Chicago Bears universe. But listen, that's just one guy's opinion.
To be fair to the lads, though, Tony, just before you come on, the question I asked was if you take away the obvious one. To be fair to them, so if you took away the obvious one, which I would have assumed.
I took away Joe Tooney. I didn't go with Joe Tooney. I went with Caleb Williams. So it was fair.
No. Yeah, that's true. Fair. I was going to say Andrew Billings, but he's no longer on the team. For me, yeah, I actually agree with what you're saying, Tony, around Caleb, that the success of this team does revolve around him. I just don't think that I think the danger, I think we spoke about it last week, I think the danger with Caleb potentially was if he'd had another year of that coach, we would have seen a potential for a downturn. And that's not because he hasn't got the ability, it's just purely because he was so ineptitudely bad. For me, my favorite kind of bear is, and Noel's kind of said it there, is Kyle Manungai. But I said it last week. I announced it to the world that Xavier Thomas is my new Daz Newsome, and I'm gonna stick.
Stop it!
Sorry, Lee. Sorry.
Stop it. Daz Newsome was shit.
Get Lee off. Lee has to leave. Lee has to leave the chat. He has to be gone. No, I really think that kid Xavier Thomas could be something special. Like, there's something about him. Everything you hear about on camp and everything you're hearing about from comments from everybody. He's not just an electric kick returner. I think you could see him getting plays in the backfield. I think you can see him plays schemed up from him in the slot. And I think he's a real threat to guys who are on that bubble and guys who are like wide receiver 3, 4, 5. I think he could really put us over the top. And Raymond is the same. Anyway, I've talked for loads. Smokes, I'm gonna move on then to you. It's a topic that we haven't spoken about on this show, and I'm gonna throw it out to everybody actually. It's a topic I haven't spoken about this show, and we did it on purpose. But I'm going to say it now on a fan show to get the fans' opinion. What's your take on the stadium?
So it's going to be a little complicated to explain because I get yelled at in the group chats for this. I know I'm originally from Illinois, but I have no real connections to the Chicagoland area. and I moved all around from being in the Army as a kid. I don't care where they go. Just like New York is in New Jersey, the New York teams are in New Jersey. That's even teams that aren't playing in the cities in the States. It's somewhere. It was like us going to Arlington. You know what I mean? It's just a different location. No matter where we're going to be, even you know it as UK. You guys from the UK, how many Bears fans you see travel over there when they're playing in London?
Yep.
Everywhere we go is a home game. So no matter where we're going to move, fans are going to show up. The players are going to play for the team. Would I love it to stay in Chicago? Yeah, why not? You're the Chicago Bears. You came from Decatur. You stayed in Chicago. You kicked the Chicago Cardinals out because it became your city. You know what I mean? So I would prefer it to stay in Chicago, but at the same time, I don't care where we go because I'm going to follow the team regardless.
Yeah, that's my answer, but we're going to move on. Noel, what you think?
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with that. From a sentimental point of view, obviously it's nice to say the Bears are in Chicago, where they've spent the majority of all of their history, pretty much, bar that 1 year in Decatur. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to make sure this team has the right players and the right head coach. And, you know, wherever they're playing, it doesn't matter. You know, that we just want this team fighting for a Super Bowl. So whether that's Arlington, whether that's Indiana, whether that's Chicago, you know, at the end of the day, the main thing is the team. So once we have a good team, it doesn't matter where they're winning.
Yeah.
It's got to stop living in the past. You got this cracking core of players coming up, brand new. Give them a brand new stadium to fucking highlight it. Get Super Bowls into the area.
Yeah, I totally agree. Tony, well, I never actually asked you this question. What's your take in the stadium?
Well, I think we've tried to avoid it for the most part, and we've gotten into nearly the end of June probably without talking about it. So that's pretty impressive considering. But I don't know. For me, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Soldier Field. I mean, I know it's old and it's small and it's difficult, but it's just an iconic stadium. You know, like down there on the waterfront. I love that. I absolutely love it. I wish there was some way that we could make it work where we could stay there, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I know there's all the kind of politics in the background and not really having full control over the area and all this kind of thing. Like, totally understand that point. But, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, you know. And honestly, right, I know, you know, the chat 6 months ago was they're absolutely going to Arlington Heights, right? And then all of a sudden it's actually, no, they're not, you know. They've gone from all this really positive language, we're definitely going there. And then now, a few weeks ago, we're definitely going to Indiana. Honestly, see in about 6 months' time, it'll be something else. Like, I don't buy it that it's absolutely happening. If it does happen and they go to Indiana, fine, it is what it is. It's actually not that far away, really, when you think about where Soldier Field is now to where that is. In comparison, if you were going from Soldier Field up to Arlington Heights, it's a much greater distance to go up that neck of the woods. So really, it's not a big deal in that sense. But for me, I would love it if they could stay where they are, figure it out somehow, you know, get some sort of regeneration of the stadium there. You know, what did they have to do? Stick another spaceship on top of Soldier Field. Do you know what I mean? That's what they did the first time. Stick the spaceship on top of the stadium and they made it work. Get a bigger spaceship. I don't know. I would love for that to happen. But again, and it's cliche, and I've been saying it, you know, privately, but until I actually see a lad standing up there digging a hole,
One guy.
you know, like, I've got to see that.
Yeah, but that was what Kevin Warren was brought in for. He had one job and he ain't done it.
What has he done? What is he doing?
That's the point. Right there for
He
me.
brought him in specifically to do it. We went to get Arlington Heights, and now all of a sudden it's Indiana, it's Arlington Heights, it's staying in Chicago. It's crap, basically.
Totally agree. I think that's the point that worries me the most. I think the political side in Chicago or Illinois or wherever they've been has been a joke, an absolute joke. And then throw in, we've handled it really badly. We just have. And Kevin Warren, 100%, he was brought in for one job. Like his first press conference, that's all he spoke about. And I did this in Minnesota and I did this. what has he done? In all you ever see Kevin Warren now is either sending out a random post which says, as Tony said, we're going to Indiana, we're going to Arlington Heights, we're going to this place, we're going to that place, or he's sitting beside the guys in the draft. That's the only time I see Kevin Warner, hear about him, or getting involved, and I think that's the only negative. I should have put that down as being negative in this off season. I think it's been the one that kind of bugs me a little bit.
How many times has Chicago been resodded and gets destroyed when they have a concert there? So when the guys come to play, we're getting injuries.
Oh, I totally agree. I get Tony's point around Soldier Field, and it's an amazing, iconic stadium and a walk away from the city, but it's a disaster. It's a disaster. Stadium disaster. It looks horrendous. There's a reason why there's not a World Cup soccer match there. Chicago is the third biggest city in the country, and they haven't got a World Cup soccer match there. That's insane to me. The new stadium gives you all that. Gives you access to Super Bowls. Gives you more money. Gives you more accessibility for everybody. For me, I don't care. I'm with everybody. I don't care where they play. And this other thing as well that I'm gonna. Oh my God, Tony, my first rant. I'm going to say this. First rant.
Hold on. Don't start.
Where's the rant?
Don't start yet. Hold on.
I swear to God, I've had enough of this shite.
Okay, on you go.
Exactly, right? My biggest thing on that is Packer fans, seriously, they posted more about the Bears stadium than Bears fans did. And I was getting messages going, Indiana Bears. I don't care. I actually don't care. That's not a kick on me. I couldn't give a rat's where they play, right? Because we're going to beat you there as well as wherever you are. And I kept on going back to those going, you are giving out to me when you wear cheese on your head and you think it's cool. It's just to go back all the time. They are finally rattled. They are all over the place because they suddenly realize that the Bears have a quarterback, have a head coach, have an actual offense that's going to worry them. And their meltdown has been one of my favorite parts. I watched one last bit of this. I watched that video of 8 minutes when we beat them 21-6 on their YouTube channel. And the guys from Cheesy Heads, Packer, or whatever it's called, the guy with the scraggly black hair. Oh, brilliant. His meltdown is the best. Because he literally, you could see the death in his eyes, the pain in his eyes when it was over. Oh, I must have watched it 50 times. Brilliant. Anyway, now that I've got over that little rant, I'm happy now. I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm more part of the show now again. We're going to move on to the last 2 points. The first one I'm going to look at is around what you think the prediction of the season is going to be. And I don't need to go. I know Lee's going to say Super Bowl. I can sense it already. But what's the idea around the season? What do you think? What would be a good season for you? And what's your expectations where it's going to be? So, Lee, you're going Super Bowl, so you're going to have to justify that to me. Go.
It's Evan Given Sunday. You just said that we've got what did we have? A top 10 offense last year? And we've added to it.
Yep.
We've got a defense that Dennis Allen, he's got parts he wants in it now. It's much quicker. It's much faster. I think the defensive line's going to prove a few people wrong. Any given Sunday, why can't we win every game? I know it's unrealistic, but I reckon there's only about 4 losses on that if we play to our full potential.
I'm on. Me and Lee are on kindred spirits. Telling you now, 17-0, baby. I'm with you all the way. No, what's your expectation for the Bears this year?
Yeah, I think Lee's spot on when it comes to the offense. Look, we've talked Ben Johnson. We know how important he is. Tony obviously put the case for Caleb Williams there as well, which is spot on. I mean, I think the great thing we've got is we have the two of them together, and the two of them together seem to really, really click. And I think that's only going to get better as the seasons go on. This year, I think that offense is going to be so much better. So I'm expecting points. I still have question marks over the defense. I know we have Dennis Allen there, who is a great, former head coach and the coach in there. He has got players in. They've moved to that more quicker kind of defense that he likes. So we'll see if that materializes the way they hope. So I have questions on the defense, but I have no questions on the offense. I think this offense are going to put up numbers. I think them and the Rams are going to be fighting to put up the big scores. And I'm looking again. I think we can improve on last season. It's not going to be a massive improvement. I think you could be looking at maybe the same again, or 12 wins is kind of where I'm looking. I think that's realistic. I think that's good enough to get you the NFC North. Again, we'll see how the other teams come along. But if that defense does click, then I think we are in for a really, really good and fun season, and that will be amazing. But at the moment, I'm looking at 11 or 12 wins, and I think that's fair enough.
Most.
I'm going to piggyback right off what Noel said. I'm looking at 11 to 12 wins as well. Mostly in part of the offense. The offense didn't go anywhere. We picked up another tight end, 12, 13 personnel, and what we can do there. But on the other side, like he said, the defense is almost completely revamped now. 2 new safeties. You got corners. You got Gordon. We don't know if when he's gonna play, so he's a question mark. You got Austin Booker, who's finally on a healthy snap guy. You got Devin Bush that's back here. Rookie Dylan Thieneman, who's gonna be starting next to new team member Kobe Bryant. So it's how quick the defense can pick up Dennis Allen's playbook is gonna be the biggest part for me. But on top of that, offense is going to win us these games, baby. It's going to win us these 11 to 12 games. And I believe it can lead us to a Super Bowl with another playoff rematch against the Rams this year.
Look into this. Tony, I don't think I've asked you this question. What's your prediction for this year from in the end of June?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I think you have to firstly expect a winning season. I think that's the where you start with. You've got to build on from last year. I think if the Bears were to go, to go backwards this year, despite the fact that you've got a tougher schedule and all that kind of stuff, I think it would be viewed as a disappointment. I think we've got the momentum. Well, then I've got a 3-year-old who just ran in the room. Give me 2 seconds.
Go look after the Queen. For me, I think there's so much development in this team. I'm around the 12 win mark. I think 12 wins the NFC North, and I think we have a unbelievable ability within Chicago Bears fandom to realize how special times we have ahead. It's an absolute super situation. We've had to go through some amount of pain. And some amount of, I remember, I talk about this regularly. Me, no one might have been on one of our other shows on this as well. I remember we watched Kansas City, and Nagy was the offensive coordinator, and it was 4:00 in the morning my time, and we were 35-0 down at halftime, and I still watched the second half because I'm an idiot. But like, it's we don't have those days anymore. Those days are gone, and it's just going to be such a special time. Tony, you came back to me.
Yeah, see, this is why I'm doing the old producing tonight. But basically what I was saying is I think you've got to look for an improvement on last year in terms of everything. Even though last year was great, you've got to keep improving. We didn't win the Super Bowl, all right? So that's the ultimate aim. So I think if you take a step backwards, you'll be disappointed. For me, I expect a winning season. I expect the offense to take another step. I expect Ben Johnson to grow as a play caller and a head coach. And for Caleb Williams to take the next step as well. But for me, I'm really interested to see the receiving core of the offense. Obviously, we're talking about Colston Loveland. You got Luther Burden and Roma Dunze, your 3 top guys who are all phenomenal players. Let's see how they work now. They've all been here more than 1 year. And then Noel mentioned it earlier on, Kyle Monangai. Like, for me, I think he probably takes a step into being your running back 1 this year. Eventually, Swift starts to kind of drift away. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where that goes. But for me, the expectation would be winning the season, getting to the playoffs again, but taking at least that step further than we got this year, winning that divisional game, get to the championship game. And then at that point, it's knockout cup football. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's anybody's, and Lee said it, any given Sunday, so there's nothing to stop the Bears from thinking big this year. They've definitely got the parts. But yeah, and someone said the defense is obviously a concern based off of parts of the things that happened last year. But then again, if you look at the guys that they lost through injury and then the guys that just never really turned up, if that we talked about Dio or the Yingbo, the fella's motivated now.
Well done, Tony.
That motivation, and I said his name without stuttering or stammering, so thank you very much. But yeah, that's what we're looking for. These guys to earn their paychecks, which a lot of them on the defensive side of the ball hadn't been doing.
Yeah, that's for me. I keep on going back to this about a big a big push for a DE or an edge. I just look at the numbers, the amount of money we spent on our defensive line, and we're unbelievably, I think we're in the top 7 of money spent on a defensive line in the NFL. What are the top 3?
Top 3. We have the top 3 most money spent on the defense.
It's insane for what we produced. It's just insane, and I'm hoping that Grady Jarrett gives a season back, and a lot of those contracts will be gone in a year's time. I get it. That's insane. It's just an insane stat. But it's just, for me, I still think we're going to get really close. We were really close before, and I think we're going to get better. Tony made a great point around all the guys who are into year 2. And then I'm looking at some of the guys, the weapons that he's brought in. Sam Roush. I'm going to throw the name as well. Hayden Large, who's could potentially be tight end 4. He was a UDFA they took in. Watch that kid. That kid I would not be surprised if Hayden Large, he takes 4 tight ends. And there's a lot of 12, 13 personnel. But that's another kid to add to that with Sam Roush, who looks like a Cole Kmet part 2 in everything we've heard and seen. And then you've got your weapons and wide receivers, and we even got better. We even got better at the kind of like the secondary level. So Zacchaeus is replaced by Raymond. Thomas is now in there on top of that as well. I think be interesting with Braxton at left tackle. When does Ozzy Trapillo come back, if he comes back this season? So again, all these exciting. Before we let you all go, I'm going to do, because this is our like fan zone show, I'm going to ask you a quick question of where your fandom came from. So what was the one thing that got you into the Chicago Bears? I know that's the worst question ever because I hate that question, and that's why I'm going to ask it to you guys, so you don't have to ask it to me. Lee, you're I know the two lads have been on the show before. Lee, tell me, where's your fandom come from?
Well, back in '84, my brother-in-law worked for BAE Systems and went out to the States a lot, and he bought me back a baseball and a book, and this book had American football players in it, and I just was like, what the is this? They're wearing helmets. I played rugby as a kid.
Yep.
And so just happened that he also had like this weird satellite in it, so he recorded games for me, and the first game I saw in '84 was Bears Tampa Bay when they had their god-awful uniforms. The Buccaneer uniform was salmon. But
yeah.
I saw 2 players, obviously Peyton and Singletary, and that was it. Going around Russia. I mean, Peyton was, in my view, the greatest player to play the game.
Yep.
But we were very blessed from '84 to late '80s with that defense. Yeah. I mean, we've never had an offensive team really till now. I mean, we've had a lot of Hall of Famers that have been defensive players, but yeah, no, it was just that one thing. Otis, Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, Singletary, they were naughty boys.
That was that. Keep watching that videos on YouTube of the
Rodney Pete.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's like people were terrified, terrified that quarterbacks got out of that team. Rightly so as well, by the way. Noel, I must have asked you this before, and I know it's a question I hate. So do you know what? I'm going to ask it to you again. Where did your Chicago Bears fandom come from, Noel?
That's okay, and Jesus, it's one of those things that's just always been there. I don't have that one moment. I know people have that moment where they, Lee says there he got the book and he kind of ran through that, or somebody watched the game and he kind of. I never had that moment. They've just always seemed to be there since the early '90s. And the only thing I can put it down to is I had a friend from London who used to spend his summers in Dublin, and he was a big NFL fan. He was a big World League fan. He was a London Monarchs fan as well. He had all the gear, but he was a Bears fan. And I'm assuming he somehow corrupted my mind and brought me into that cult and kind of. But I don't have that moment. I don't have that one game I watched meant, oh, Jesus, see him. I'm going to follow this team. So that's it. I always credit him for that he must have brought me into it and kind of warped my mind in toward the Bears. And as I say, that was late 80s, early 90s. So they've just always been there.
Is he still your friend?
Yeah, I forget.
No, he's a Packers fan.
Don't sound too disappointed.
Once Ben Johnson came in, I gave him.
You got back in contact. Smokes, what was the scenario with you? Was it connected to your family, or was it connected to just something you watched?
Mostly family. So, like I said earlier, Army brat, so I moved around a lot. My father being in the Army, I think when we were going deep into the playoffs, the playoffs where BJ Raji ended our season, my father was deployed overseas, and so I was watching the games in his stead at the house, kind of trying to understand it a little more. I think that's where it kicked it off for me, and then it just ended up me being way more obsessed than him. He gets all the news updates from me. He gets all the players that we sign, release, all that straight from me, and it just connects all the way to the family, mostly through my dad.
Yeah, I was joking earlier on about the Packers videos I was watching on YouTube. I must have watched the Chicago Bears fans videos on YouTube of all the games, especially the Packers wins, and then also the one in the one of the Rams, the touchdown to Komet, that unbelievable throw from Caleb. And what stood out to me in all those videos was the families, and it's just brilliant watching families connect over the Bears. And no matter where you are in the world, that's the reason why we do the show. Bears fans are everywhere, and it's just it's an absolute treat. We went to watch the London game. We all went over. Noel came with us. We went over to Chicago to watch the worst game of football ever, but it was still brilliant because you're around by real Bears fans, and it's just a privilege to be a supporter of this team. I'm very similar to Lee, Walter Payton. It was the only thing on RTE, which is the Irish TV network. It was the only sport that we had, and it was a Monday night show for an hour. And I remember just Walter Payton was just, he couldn't be stopped. And I remember as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I was like, who is this guy? And like, why can't they tackle him? I just fell in love with it. Then obviously added in there with the Bulls and with Jordan and the whole city of Chicago and the whole history of Chicago. I just fell in love with it. I love the fact that we had to go through all the pain to now hopefully see the future of what it is. So it's an epic part. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Tony as well. He was here and then he was off. So obviously, but it's always joined back.
Just before we go.
Yeah, go on.
A couple of things before we go. Next week, we're back next Monday. Is it Brendan Shagrew? It's next Monday?
Isn't it?
Brendan Shagrew is coming on next Monday for a wee chat, so it'll be good to catch up with him as well. And the second thing, just very quickly, you might have seen it up on the screen a minute ago. It was Ant's birthday this week, so I just wanted to make a very public happy birthday, Ant.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Ant.
And now
old.
He's only 21.
I'm an old 21 plus VAT. I'm an old man. As my son says to me over the weekend, he went, "I can't count to you." So that's probably the worst. That's probably the worst reaction I could have got. So I'll take it as happy birthday. So I appreciate that. Thank you all very much, lads. And make sure you go follow the guys wherever you can find them and go see them. Noel, brilliant to have you on. Smokes, brilliant to have you on. Lee, it's great to see you.
Thanks for inviting us, man.
Congratulations on winning the hat. I know Rob was messaging us saying it's on the way to you. It'll get to you before my one gets to Sweden.
Probably.
But anyway, before we get any further, thanks again to everybody. Get ready for the season. Enjoy the Tartan Army running around Florida Smokes. Enjoy that. Lads, look after yourselves. And as always, don't ever forget to bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down.